Okay, in this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to create a subgrade surface in Civil 3D. So what I have right now in this drawing is I have my layout of all the different surfaces that we will be installing on this site. So we have our concrete sidewalk, we're going to have an asphalt parking lot, concrete ADA stalls, we'll have a building right here with a concrete sidewalk around it, and some grass restoration around the perimeter and inside. Now, all these surfaces have different thicknesses. So what we do is basically we put a boundary around all these different surfaces. So as you can see, when I unload the layout, you'll see that I have polylines that delineate the boundaries of all these surfaces. So for example, we have this orange line that represents the asphalt pavement, and that has a thickness of 0.7917, which is 9 inches of asphalt. Well, 3 inches of asphalt, 6 inches of RCA. The topsoil and seed areas, we have it at 4 inches thickness. The building, we have it at a foot of thickness. We have 4-inch concrete sidewalks. The concrete ADA stalls, those are going to be 6 inches thick, so 0.5 elevation. And then we also have a dumpster pad over here that's also going to be a 6-inch concrete slab, which is 0.5 for the elevation. So basically what you want to do is you want to create a polyline around all your different surfaces, and the elevation on that polyline is going to be the thickness of that surface. Okay, now when you have two surfaces that meet each other, you don't want the lines to overlap each other. So you just offset them just a touch, just a little bit. I think this is about zero point 0.1 of an offset just to give it a little bit of separation. So once you have all these lines delineated around your site and you have the elevations applied to them, what we can do is we can go ahead and create a new surface that is going to be our depth surface. So we're going to go to our tool space manager and we're going to go over to surfaces, right click and create surface. Okay, and for the name, we are going to name this depth. And for the style, we're just going to put this as border only and hit OK. Now what you're going to do is you're going to window and you're going to select all these polylines that you drew. Go back over to your tool space manager, expand surfaces, expand depth, expand definition, and we're going to add these as break lines. So go down to break lines, right click on it and select add. Okay, we don't need to give it a description, type standard is fine. For the mid-ordinate distance, that's how many times it triangulates around a radius. 0.05 is fine. The supplementing distance of 20 is fine as well. So we're just going to go ahead and click OK. As you can see, now we actually have a surface here. So what I want to do is I only want to have this surface be within areas of work. So I know in this area over here, we're tying back into the existing and there's nothing happening here. So what I want to do is select this surface, go up to edit surface, and then select delete line. And I'm going to go ahead and delete these lines. So now this area is no longer included in our subgrade. And then what I like to do is I like to just go around the perimeter and make sure that everything's triangulating correctly. And we're not including any areas that are outside of our limits of work. This one right there. Okay, so now we have a good looking depth surface. So basically what the depth is going to be used for is we're going to compare it to the finished grade. And by comparing that difference between finished grade and that depth, that's actually going to give us the elevation at that point on our subgrade. So what we want to do is we want to create what's called a tin volume surface. So we're going to go back over to Tool Space Manager, right click surfaces, and now we're going to create surface again. But this time we're going to, under type, we're going to hit the drop down arrow and we're going to select tin volume surface. And we are going to call this one, oh, you know what? I apologize. We have to get our finished grade surface in here first. So let me do that real quick. So we got to go over to our tool space manager, and we got a shortcut in our surfaces. Now, if you don't have this and this is empty, all you have to do is right click. Then you're going to select working folder or set working folder and path to where it is, wherever that's saved on your computer. So we are already linked up. And then once you have that, actually, it's a good idea to just select associate project to current drawing. This way it always keeps that link to the project. All right, so now every surface that we have available to us would be listed right here. So I want to insert both of these. So I'm going to right click on them and say create reference. And now you can see the existing grade and finished grade are up here. We could just have both these set to no display, which I think they are by default. Yep, we don't need them displayed, so that's perfect. All right, so now that we have our existing and our finished grade inside this drawing, now we could go back to surfaces, right click, and select create surface. Then again, we're going to hit this drop down arrow and select tin volume surface. And we're going to name this finished grade or FG versus depth. And the way I do it is the comparison surface is going to be FG. So the first surface in the title is the comparison surface. And the second, which is depth, is the base surface. Now we're going to hit OK. Okay, so now we have another surface. Now, what I'm noticing is that there is a hole in our finished grade where the building is, which is sometimes typical. Sometimes you'll have a separate quantity calculated for the excavation of the building. But what I want to do is actually fill that in. So I'm going to go into my data shortcuts. I'm going to open this source drawing. Okay, so I have a feeling this was used as a boundary. So what I want to do is just remove that boundary from the finished grade. And go ahead and delete it. Okay. And delete this one. And okay. Okay, so now it triangulates inside of our building. So now we'll have that fixed in the other drawing. So I'm just going to hit save and close. And then now I want to synchronize my surfaces. All right, perfect. So now you'll see triangulation going on within the building, which is exactly what we want. So to make it a little bit easier, we're going to set the depth surface to the no display style. All right, so it looks like our comparison surface is in the same exact limits, which is good. So now I want to set this as well to no display. Okay, now this finished grade versus depth is actually your subgrade surface, but you can't use this in any way. So what you have to do is you have to create another surface, just a tin surface, and call it subgrade. Whoops. And we could actually, we'll set this to proposed contours 1 and 5. Hit OK. And now what we want to do is we actually want to paste this finished grade versus depth into our subgrade surface, and that will actually give us our subgrade. So we're going to go to Edit under Definition, right click, and hit Paste Surface. And we're going to go ahead and select our finished grade versus depth and hit OK. So now this is our subgrade surface, and it's a very accurate subgrade because of how we delineated all the different surfaces. And then if you right click this and you go to Object Viewer, you should be able to see the parking lot carved out, and you can see the excavation of this. So this looks good. All right, so now we have our subgrade surface. And now we want to get a volume, right? That's the whole reason why you do your subgrade, is so you know how much earthwork you're going to have on your project. So to do that, it's quite simple. We're going to go over our tool space manager again. We're going to right click on surfaces, create surface, and we're going to do another tin volume surface. This time the surface we're going to be doing is called EG for existing grade versus SG versus your subgrade. So that's what you're starting out with at grade and comparing it to what your subgrade is. So this will give you your actual earthwork quantities. This doesn't have to display, so we can just put this on no display. Now for this one, the base is going to be the existing grade, and the comparison is going to be your subgrade. Hit OK and OK. So now that we have that, what we want to do is we want to analyze it and be able to get a table that's going to tell us exactly how much cut, how much fill we have on this site, and the overall area. So we go over to the Analyze tab, and then we're going to go ahead to Volume Dashboard. Go ahead and click it. Now it's going to be empty, so what we want to do is we want to add that surface that we just created to this Volume Dashboard. So we're going to hit the surface icon with the plus sign. So it says you could add volume surface, which is what we want to do. And the surface we are selecting is EG versus SG. Hit OK. And as you can see, this site is in a condition of fill. So now if we want this to go on our demolition plan or our excavation plan, what we want to do is we want to set the layer to our text layer, which for me is Ciano Notes. We want to make sure that the surface that we want to have the table printed out is checked right here. And then we're going to hit this little A with a plus sign. Click right here. And now you have a cut fill summary of what's going on this site. So you could tell that we have 150 cubic yards of cut, 2,520 cubic yards of fill. Okay. Now, a good idea to make sure you did all this correctly is to just do a spot shot check. And what I mean by that is, just go ahead and uncheck this to get rid of it. And I'm going to go up to my Annotate tab. I'm going to click the Add Labels toggle, which, there it is. Okay, a little glitchy. For the feature, we're going to drop down and select Surface. And then what I want to do is I want to do a spot shot. So just spot elevation. And we'll just do elevation only and basic X and hit Add. So the first surface we want to do is we want to do our existing grade. I'm going to hit right on the tip of this contours. So it is saying that our existing grade here is 47.96. And then now I want to add a spot elevation to our subgrade. And you can see that we're at 48 on our subgrade, 47.96. So existing grade is 47.96. Our subgrade is 48. And now I want to add another label, and I'm going to add this to the finished grade versus depth. Oops. Oh, sorry. I want to do a cut and fill label to the finished grade versus depth. Okay, hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. It should be the the existing grade versus subgrade. So I'm just going to click this label. Let's go existing grade versus subgrade. So we can see that we're filling 0.04. And now we know our existing grade is 47.96. We know our subgrade is at 48, which means the fill of 0.04 is in fact accurate. So that right there is just a quick little check you can do to make sure that your surfaces, the base and comparison surfaces were done correctly and everything's reading right. It's just a good idea to do, especially when you're doing with dealing with quantities that are going to be put in a bid package for a contractor to put a price to it. You want to just double check your work. So that's just a good, easy way to double check. All right, so now we have our subgrade. We have our volume calculation over here. Now the last thing that you may want to do, it's not necessary, is to display the areas of cut and the areas of fill. Right, so a lot of times what you'll see on a plan is any area of cut will be red, and then any area of fill will be blue. So to do that, it's actually a pretty easy process. So what we want to do is we want to go back over to our tool space. We want to right click on surfaces, create surface. We're going to do a tin volume surface, and we're going to name this cut fill. And our style is going to be slope banding. Hit OK and OK. So now what we want to do is in this slope band, in this cut fill, we want to actually paste in our EG versus SG surface. So on edits, you're going to right click, go to paste surface, and we're going to select EG versus SG. So now you see you got a whole bunch of colors here. So now what we got to do is we got to change the surface style, right? We only want to see blue and red in the range that we set for cuts and fills. So to do that, we're going to edit the surface style. Oops, sorry. Surface properties, and we're going to go to the analysis tab, right? So we want to do an analysis of the elevations, and we only want two ranges, a range for cut and a range for fill. So we're going to change this to 2, and then hit the down arrow. So basically, you want to do for any negative elevation to 0, it's a cut, and for any positive elevation to 0, it's a fill, right? So it's automatically going to give you your minimum and maximum elevations based on your surface. So these should be set okay, but what I like to do is I usually like to just bump these up just in case. And then I'm going to put 0 for the max, and then 0 for the minimum on the fill, and I'll go to 10 for the max. I want to change these colors now. So we'll go red for the cut, and we're going to go blue for the fill. Hit apply and OK. And now you can see on your surface, any area where there's blue shown is going to be a fill situation, and any area where there's a red color show, it's going to be a cut situation. So to get this to display in color now, what you want to do is that's when you want to go to your surface style. So we're going to right click on it, select edit surface style. And for display, what you want to do is you want to make sure one, elevations is selected, and then you want to make sure that it's on a layer that's set up to print color. So for me, that layer is CPAT excavation. And what I like to do is set everything by layer. I like everything to be controlled by the layer. I don't like anything to be within the style. But you know, it's whatever you prefer really. So now that I have that set up, I'm going to hit apply and OK. Now, if we go to our layer manager and we look at that layer, CPAT excavation, for me, I actually set it to be transparent. I think it looks better and you can see the rest of the plan better if you make this, if you were to use it in a plan sheet. So I set this transparency to 60, and the style for me is normal. That's going to get it to print color. Okay. So now another thing you could do, if say you didn't want to do the colors, let's just go back to this and set it to no display. Say you want to just labels on this to show you how much excavation or how much cut is being done at that spot, right? In like a grid. What you want to do is go up to your labels, select surface. We're going to do spot elevations on a grid, and we're going to set our style to a cut fill label. And what that's going to do is if it's in a cut situation, it's going to say minus, 1 foot, and the text is going to be in red. If it's a fill, it's going to just say 1, and it's going to be blue. So we're going to go ahead and marker style basic X is okay. Hit add. We're going to hit enter to select the surface from the list. And the one that we want to use is EG versus SG. Now we're going to hit a base point. So you want to make sure that wherever you select your base point, it's going to be able to go, because we're going to window and make a rectangle up and to the right. So you just want to make sure wherever you start from, you're going to get the whole surface in your rectangle. So right here is fine. We don't want to rotate the grid at all, so we're just going to do 0. So we'll hit enter. Now the spacing, we're going to do 25 feet. That's going to be our grid. And now what we got to do is we got to select the upper right area. So again, you just want to make sure you go far enough where you're going to encapsulate this whole surface. So click, and now you can see the blue rectangle is your limits of where you're going to place these labels, but it will only place a label within the boundaries of the surface. So it's not going to add a label into any of the clear space outside of that. Now we just hit enter. And now if you look close, you can see that we have labels here, blue for fill, red for cuts. Now they're a little off. So what we do for that is we go into the surface style by clicking the little paintbrush and pencil. That's the edit style logo. And what we want to do is we want to change the component to fill. Now the X, well, Y is it's a little low, so we're going to set this to 0. And that's going to bring it up a little bit. And now we need to move it over to the right. So that's the X direction. So let's see what 0.1 gives us. Do a little bit more. So 0.12. That looks good. And now, so our X is 0.12 and our Y is 0. We want to go ahead and select cut and do the same thing. So 0.12 for the X and 0 for the Y. Hit apply. There we go. And now you can have your cut and fill labels, so you know that at that exact point, you're filling almost 6 inches, so 0.47 feet. You're filling here, and you're cutting about 3 inches here. And if you want to, unfortunately, if you want to change this grid and you want to get a little bit tighter, so say instead of every 20 feet, you want to go a 10 by 10 grid, you have to delete these labels and redo. You can't change them after they're inserted into the drawing, unfortunately. And that's it. So that is the easiest way, at least that I know of, to create a subgrade. It's going to give you a very accurate calculation for earthwork. And it's a pretty easy, simple process. And regardless of how big the site is, it's still the same thing. It's just polylines with elevations used to create a surface, some comparison surfaces, and then boom, you got your subgrade. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you can use this in your projects in the future. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.